How you doing, guys? Big Met Down School here again today, back once again with another episode of my Conquest series for you. Today we're going to be taking a look through the pages of issue 61. So, this video is first published on Halloween, and we've got a bit of a Halloween mystery on our hands towards the back of this issue. You'll find out more later when I talk about that and address that. But for the time being, what have we got? In the issue, we get these objective markers. Now, these aren't the objective markers that you can buy off the Games Workshop website. Those objective markers are £22.50, so I'm going to value them at £22.50. And so whether this is going to be rolled out as a new objective marker set, I'm not sure. The other one has like an escape pod from a spaceship in it. It has a sample of a gene stealer, like the head and the spine, all in this glass container, like as if someone's got it as a trophy, and it's got a few different objectives in that this set doesn't have. However, this is a very nice set of objectives anyway, so yeah, let's value it at the same price, £22.50. So you're getting almost 3 times the value of the magazine there, the magazine at £7.99. So what do we get inside? We get Imperial objectives, as I've just said, learn about the Thousand Suns and play on your new battle map, which may be something to do with the Halloween mystery. Let's find out later. Turning to the first page, it's all about the Thousand Suns. It gives you an introduction to who the Thousand Suns are and their sort of methods of battle. It talks about how they're all psychers, or not all psychers actually. They were once all psychers to varying degrees of ability. Some very potent psychers like Azek Araman, and the Primarch, Magnus the Red. It talks about him in a couple of pages' time. But yeah, it talks about how they're all psychers and how they fell from the light of the Emperor, if you like. They were declared traitor by the Emperor, and they weren't abiding by rules that he'd put in place not to use psychic ability. To cut a long story short, I've covered this in previous issues where the Thousand Suns, or Zeech at least, has been touched on. But to cut a long story short, Magnus found out that Horus was going to turn traitor using his psychic ability. Or he had turned traitor at that time, I'm not sure. He was basically on the cusp of turning traitor. And Magnus had discovered this in a vision. And he wanted to warn the Emperor, but there was massive warp storms raging, so he couldn't send an astropathic message, which is psychic form of communication that mankind uses in the 41st or the 31st millennium in this case. So he couldn't send that regular communication. So because there was wards up around Terra, when I say wards, like psychic wards, preventing communications coming in as well. So he had to, or the Emperor was distracted, something like that. There was basically a reason he couldn't send an astropathic message. It might have been just that it was too important for an astropath to convey this message. So Magnus got some of his most trusted generals, and they conducted a ritual in order to break through the seals around the Golden Throne and warn the Emperor that Horus was turning traitor, and some of his brothers were probably going to follow. But in breaking those wards, it allowed a flood of demons to get to Terra and to get into the Imperial Palace, and all sorts of stuff was going off. So then the Emperor immediately declared Magnus traitor and sent the Space Wolves, Custodian Guard, and the Silent Sisters. Is that what they're called, the Silent Sisters? I think they are, yeah. Sisters of Silence, yeah, the Silent Sisters. Yeah, so he sent those 3 factions to bring, and some Titan legions and stuff as well, to bring the Thousand Suns to heel, basically, to the Emperor's justice. In doing so, the message that Horus was turning traitor never actually got communicated to the Emperor, because when Magnus realised what he'd done in letting the demons flood into the Imperial Palace and stuff like that, when he realised what he'd done and how angry his father was, his gene sire was, he basically he just kind of forgot all about what he was there for, what he was conveying his presence there for. So he didn't end up warning the Emperor. So if he'd actually just said, hang on a minute, yeah, just before you send the Space Wolves to try and slaughter us, or bring us to justice. Just to let you know, Horus is turning traitor. If he'd said that, then maybe the Emperor wouldn't have been so swift in damning one of his sons. However, he didn't, and they got thrown in as like the first to turn from the light of the Emperor. Really, there was renegades, or sort of almost renegades at the time. The Night Lords, they were sort of on the cusp of turning as well. But in many ways, the Thousand Sons were pushed from. They didn't help themselves by still using psychic powers. They were doing what the Emperor told them not to do anyway. So they were doing wrong, but they were trying to do right in order to do wrong. Well, the wrong was like a side effect of trying to do right, basically. So there we go. Yeah, that's the tale of the Thousand Sons. I don't need this magazine, do I? On the next page, though, it's got a lovely galactic map. I'll try and whack it up here. And it talks about where the Thousand Sons are active in the galaxy in the 41st millennium. And the way in which they are active, they've split into 9 different cults: cults of prophecy, cults of time, cults of mutation, cults of scheming, cults of magic, cults of knowledge, cults of change, cults of duplicity, and cults of manipulation. Ooh. There we go. So 9, I assume, is the magic number of Zeech, the number of power for Zeech, which is the chaos god that the Thousand Sons are in league with. So 7 is Nurgle, 9 I assume is Zeech, 6 I think is Khorne, and 8 is probably Khorne could be 8 actually, because I think the Khorne Lord of Skulls is 888 points. So Khorne's probably 8 and 6 is probably Slaanesh. But I'm not entirely sure on that, so just have a quick Google if you want. What's the magic number of Khorne? And vice versa. Slaanesh. So, on to the next page, it talks about the fall of Magnus. Oh, I'll just give you a quick summary of that. This summary is I probably would have read that and it would have been a lot quicker. And then it talks about Prospero as well, which was the former homeworld of the Thousand Sons during the Great Crusade, the 31st millennium, as opposed to the 10,000 years later in the 41st millennium. Prospero was a homeworld of the Thousand Sons, but it's pretty much a barren wasteland now. It's a death world after the Space Wolves and Custodian Guard destroyed it as a result of a Horus. When they were on the way there, Horus was still seen as the War Master, the Emperor's War Master, and the War Master of the Imperium. So he sent an order to kill Magnus rather than what the Emperor wanted, which was to bring Magnus back to justice, basically. Bring him back to Terra, and the Emperor will judge him as he sees fit. But Horus sent a message to the forces going to bring him back to Terra to kill him. The Emperor's changed his mind, kill him instead. So that's what led to the Thousand Sons actually falling and committing to Zeech, because they were going to be wiped out if they didn't make a decision quick. They could have just sat on their hands and been wiped out, and then it would have gone down as a great tragedy without a betrayal, or without an intended betrayal. However, they fought back and they fell to Zeech as a result, and now it's a great tragedy with the betrayal. So yes, the next couple of pages is a quick showcase, gallery, if you like. One of these, just talking about this first page with the fall of Magnus first. That's a representation of Magnus. I'll try and remember to put that picture up there for you. And his Forge World model is quite similar to this, but it's not got quite so many horns. It's a lovely model, the Forge World one, but also the Games Workshop one's a lovely model, the Demon Prince one that we see on this showcase, on the first page of this showcase. It's a fantastic model. It's just a lot bigger than the Forge World one. Magnus was always one of the biggest Primarchs, but he could. It's said that he could psychically alter his form, so he could make himself appear bigger to whoever he wanted to appear bigger to. So whether he was actually bigger or not, I don't know. It's like Malcador, the Sigilite. He was a little old man, but if he wanted to, he could appear strong and big. He looked, or was he appearing as a little old man, despite the fact that he was something completely different? You know, you're never quite sure there. Yeah, so this Games Workshop Demon Prince Magnus is a fantastic, or Demon Primarch Magnus rather, is a fantastic model, and it's got some shares a lot of similarities in terms of the horns coming off the chest plate there. It's got the Hecker staff or the halberd, I don't know which it is, and that's on the Forge World model as well. It's got these wings and horns coming off his head though, which, you know, sort of demonic sort of look give him there. I can't speak English anymore. Now on to the next page, it's got a couple of sorcerers, a Rubric Marine and a Zangor Shaman, or 3 Rubric Marines. Got a couple of, or 3 colour schemes here for the Thousand Suns. One is a Rubric Marine with an Icon of Flame, a Rubric Marine of the Crimson Suns, that's the red boys, a Rubric Marine of the Hermetic Blades, and the standard Thousand Suns colour scheme is the one with the Icon of Flame. Onto the next page, how to build Imperial objectives. Some of the objectives come in a single piece, so you don't need to build them. They're all displayed on the first page there. Over the page, it's a nice, simple build guide. They've got, you know, up to 10 parts, let's say, in each of these objectives that have more than one part. There's a servitor there on tracks, a Medicae table where the servitor works on the wounded, a Sacred Reliquary, which has got a really cool sword in it with a hand attached to it, like a Space Marine's hand. Ammunition crates there, comms centre, and a scatterfield generator. Onto the how to paint Imperial objectives. I'm just going to flick right through these pages. It's 8 pages long, this how to paint section, giving you really nice looking miniatures at the end. There's no denying that. But it's 8 pages long. It just seems a bit excessive, although I guess there's lots of different components. But there's only about 4 colours used, or it seems like there's only about 4 colours used. When you just when you look at the completed models, we've got green, black, silver, gold, red. There's a bit of flesh colour used there, bit of blue, bit of grey. Yeah, there's not an awful lot of colours used there. So 8 pages seems excessive, but when you see the terrain painted up like that at the end, it's really not that excessive because it gives you good results at the end, doesn't it? On to the Mechanicus Warzone. This new battle map that we've got, that we're going to be using for the first time in this issue, it only comes with a little bit of terrain. However, the shipping containers that we've had, the armoured containers we've had in the past, we use them on this battle mat as well. Those were the ones that we used on the very first battle mat. We got the cargo deck of the strike cruiser, the Ultramarine strike cruiser that we were doing battle on in the first few issues. So they're getting reused now on this battle mat, which is nice because it gives you more terrain, more cover, and it's showing you can use things we've had in the past in these upcoming issues as well. It's also got some galvanic servo haulers, ammunition crates and Promethean barrels, which came with the containers as well there. Flicking on to the next page, talks about the Imperial objectives and what each one is. So we've got Medicae equipment. I've gone through this on the how to build section, haven't I really? But this is a nicer picture for you, so I'm going to go through it again. So we've got top left Medicae equipment, comms command centre, scatterfield generator, sacred reliquary, power screen projectors, and ammunition cache. On to the next page, the restless contagion, or relentless contagion rather. The city of Kalon has fallen basically to the Death Guard. The Death Guard have been victorious, but they're not sitting back on the laurels, and they're taking the fight to the Ultramarines as the Ultramarines flee with any human survivors, any locals, and any Imperial Guardsmen and planetary defenders basically. So they're taking the fight to them, and there's a Vox transmission coming through from Ultramarine Scout Squad Pontus. Location, Jorgenhast.
Death Guard forces are about to breach the perimeter. One extraction vessel remains. Request assistance defending the loading bay.
So that was a scout requesting assistance. onto the back page and the Halloween mystery. Right, let's read through this first paragraph. This mission includes an extra piece of printed terrain to place on your battle mat. You can find this piece of terrain on the inside back cover of this magazine. You will need to place it on the mat location shown below before you begin playing this mission. So let's check the mat. There's no extra piece of terrain there, is there? No. So that's a big mystery. However, turning to the inside back cover, there's no extra piece of 2D printed terrain there, is there? That's the real Halloween mystery. It's not on the back page. I've checked the front. It's not there anywhere. Now, let me know if your copy's different, because I'd be interested to see. When you get your copy, do you get that bit of 2D printed terrain? I contacted Hatchet Partworks via their Facebook page, 40k Conquest Facebook page. And I said to them, the 2D piece of terrain isn't printed in the issue. Will you be providing us with a file that we can then print off ourselves, or will it come in a future issue? And their response was, go take it back to the shop. Now, as far as I'm concerned, whilst I used to work in retail, so I know a little bit about it, whilst the first responsibility is with the retailer, that is an editing issue, and for me, that is something they should fix, and they can easily fix by doing something that Games Workshop tend to do a lot now. So Games Workshop often release erratas and what do they call them? Q&As? FAQs. Erratas and FAQs to download digitally, and they also release updated data slates and stat lines and profiles for certain characters and models. So they could easily, Hatchet could easily, in my opinion, now it may be hard for some reason for them to do this, but they could easily get hold of what was supposed to be in there from Games Workshop and then release it for us to download and print. And that'd satisfy me. Now, it's not printed on the glossy paper because I don't have that glossy paper. I don't even have a printer at the minute, so I'd have to go to someone's house to print it and use all their ink and stuff. But it's not quite the same as the magazine. However, it'd satisfy me that. But their response was, take it back to the shop. And it just goes to show how lacking their customer service is. They're not bothered about retaining customers at all, because often what's in the magazine, you're buying it for what's in the magazine anyway. So, although it's not necessarily their issue, it's Games Workshop's issue, they are the ones who should resolve it, in my opinion, in some way or another. Hopefully in the coming days they'll get feedback from other people that have picked up this issue in the shops, and then they'll realise it is their mistake, and hopefully they'll correct it then. I don't want to completely write them off just yet, but I was considering buying Mortal Realms when that comes out, and using it for channel content basically, because this has been really easy content for me to make. However, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to now, because I had not a great time with them when this magazine first launched, and I subscribed to it. The customer service again was just lacking. It's not that they had bad customer service, it just didn't really exist. They weren't interested in retaining me as a subscriber, probably because they knew I'd go out and pick it up in the shops anyway. But yeah, I wasn't impressed, so I'm probably not going to pick up Mortal Realms now. Yeah, so I was contemplating putting a Patreon together and using that to fund the subscription to Mortal Realms, or just pick it up in the shop as I do with Conquest. But I'm probably not going to even think about that any further now. Back to the issue though. Back to the issue. You don't get that piece of terrain, but how can we resolve that, and how can we play this mission without that piece of terrain? Basically, we've got enough terrain already to play that mission. We can use one of them. We've got hatches that came with the Rise of Pattern Ruins. We can use one of them as the objective for this particular mission, because that's all it is. Even what some of the pipelines, it's supposed to represent a water pipe that if the poxwalkers get near, if they come into contact with the water pipe, then they infect the water supply, basically. That's what the objective's supposed to represent. Or even on this new battle mat that we've got some printed pipes, so you could say they're the water pipes. Ideally, you'd want it probably closer to the centre of the battlefield. Still we have the problem where we don't know where to place it because it doesn't show us on here. It shows us where to place all the objective markers that we've got in this, but we're not actually using those objective markers. So it's just a bit confusing. Perhaps this is the mission from next week's issue. And they've printed the wrong mission, basically. Or they've printed the wrong text around the battle mats. I don't know. We'll perhaps find out next week that they have printed the wrong text around it. We'll get exactly the same text in next week's issue. But we'll see going forward. So this mission uses additional piece of terrain. It says again in this black box inside the back cover of the magazine. Place it on your battle mat in the place shown above. There is no place shown above. The circular grate is the main objective. There's no circular grate. No models are allowed to move through, over or onto the circular grate. Yeah, like I said, there's no circular grate, so we just need something to represent a circular grate. You could probably make something yourself just to do that, or you can just use one of the objective tokens that we've had in the previous issue. But yeah, like I said, we don't know where to place it. That's part of the problem there. The armies. Getting back to the armies. Death Guard, 3 command points. Typhus, 3 units of 10 Poxwalkers. Woo! That's a lot of Poxwalkers. 10 Chaos Cultists and 5 Plague Marines. That is, what, 46 miniatures altogether. The Space Marine get 3 command points. Primaris Chaplain, Primaris Ancient. 2 units of 5 Intercessors, 5 Reavers and 3 Aggressors. So, they're heavily outnumbered, the Space Marines. One thing I will say, though, is most of the Death Guard models are single wound models. All of the Space Marine models have at least 2 wounds. So, whilst it seems a bit uneven at first, and they've all got guns as well, whereas 30 of the Death Guard models don't have guns. So, whilst it seems a bit uneven at first, it's not really as uneven as it thinks. If anything, it might actually be in favour of the Space Marines. You probably need more models on the Death Guard side. Depending on how you use your Poxwalkers, though, you can use them to block line of sight to your other units. So, just try and use them as cleverly as you can. Deployment. Space Marine player deploys their units first. The Death Guard player units move onto the board at the start of their movement phase. So it says on this battle map that we've got, this picture, it's got a Space Marine enter here and Death Guard enter here. So again, that doesn't tally with the text. That's what makes me think they've put the wrong text in the magazine rather than the wrong pictures. And I think probably we'll see in next week's issue that piece of terrain turn up. Hopefully, anyway, because hopefully that's next week's mission. Because why wouldn't you want to use the 6 objective markers when you first get them? That's what they've always done. They've always had the models that come in this issue used in the game. Whereas, yeah, you're just using them as terrain rather than as the objectives they're intended to be. So, yeah, we'll see in the next week, so it'll become apparent, hopefully. Victory conditions. A Space Marine player is victorious if they manage to stop any of the Poxwalkers reaching the water pipe, marked in red. The Death Guard player wins the game if they manage to get any Poxwalker models into base contact with the centre of the water pipe, marked in red. If you do want to play this mission, I'd probably just put an objective in the centre of the battlefield, set up a deployment zone of 6 inches from the Space Marine board edge, and have them deploy in there, and then the Death Guard enter from where it says on this map the Death Guard enter from. This game lasts 5 battle rounds. So yeah, it's a bit confusing, this last page in this issue, but you can still make something of it. You know, you can still set up the 3 battle mats side by side by side. That's a big board now, that's almost a full-size board. Not quite, it's a 6 foot by 4 foot board is what you want for a full-size board. That's as close as we're going to get with this magazine, I think. Your next Conquest. We get the Galactic Servo Haulers in issue 62. I'm excited for them because I want to use the tracks for something else. You'll see that in a future video, hopefully on the channel. And then issue 63 we're getting, oh my word, we're getting another 10 Poxwalkers and another Plague Marine with a plasma gun. Or potentially a bolt gun if you've already built the guy with a plasma gun using the one from last week's issue. So it's a lot of Poxwalkers. I'm going to have 40 Poxwalkers altogether. Absolute, or 42 I think actually, because we got 6 easy to build ones twice, and then we got 2 10s, didn't we? Wait a minute, that's only 32. You know what? 3 units of 10 poxwalkers is what it says we have, and I think, I'm not certain, but I think we've only got 22 poxwalkers as I record this video. So, yeah, the text is wrong. It's the text that's wrong, not necessarily the picture. So it's the text that's wrong, because we've not got enough poxwalkers to make 30 units of 10 poxwalkers, have we? Yeah, so we are going to have 32 poxwalkers altogether, not 42. Yeah, so that sort of answers the query of whether the text was wrong or not. The text is from a future issue on that back page. Hopefully they'll be able to remedy that in next week's issue, and we'll get the text from this issue in a future issue, or just slot it in with inside the plastic. I imagine they've already started to distribute them to their regional suppliers, so we'll see how they deal with it. Anyway guys, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield. 27 minutes, wow. It's a Halloween mystery.